Tom sat quietly in the corner of the station's workshop, his hands covered in grease as he tightened the last bolt of a broken service droid. Life on the Orion outpost was simple. He fixed machines, repaired ships, and occasionally shared a meal with the few other humans posted there. To him, that was enough. But on that day, everything changed. A deep hum filled the outpost as a massive ship approached. Through the wide glass of the docking bay, Tom caught sight of something he had only seen in reports, the royal flagship of the Zareth Empire. Its silver hull glimmered like a blade in sunlight, and the alien crest shimmered across its surface. Everyone in the station stopped to stare. "Royal ship," one of the mechanics whispered. "What are they doing here?" The Zareth Empire was powerful, ancient, and mysterious. Their royal family rarely traveled without purpose, and certainly not to a small human outpost at the edge of space. Tom wiped his hands on his work cloth, trying to ignore the uneasy feeling growing in his chest. Minutes later, the announcement came over the intercom. "All personnel, stand by. The Princess of Zareth requests an audience." Tom frowned. A princess? Here. He shook his head. Surely they weren't interested in him. Yet before he could return to his tools, the heavy doors opened, and two towering Zareth guards stepped inside. Their armor gleamed with polished stone and steel, and their sharp eyes scanned the room. "You," one said, pointing directly at Tom. Tom blinked. "Me?" "Yes. The princess requests your presence." Confused and a little nervous, Tom followed them. The halls felt longer than usual, every step echoing against the metal floor. The other workers peeked from corners, whispering, watching him like he was being marched to judgment. They reached the docking chamber. The royal flagship loomed like a sleeping giant, its ramp lowered. Tom's heart raced as the guards guided him inside. The air smelled faintly sweet, different from the recycled oxygen of the outpost. The walls were decorated with symbols that shimmered softly as they walked past, like light woven into silk. Finally, they entered a wide chamber. At the far end sat Princess Arya of the Zareth Empire. She was nothing like Tom had expected. Instead of cold arrogance, she carried herself with calm curiosity. Her long silver hair framed her face, and her eyes deep violet watched him with an intensity that made him shift uncomfortably. Tom bowed awkwardly, unsure of what the right gesture was. Your Highness." Arya tilted her head slightly, studying him. "Human," she said, her voice calm and melodic. "I have read many things about your kind. But I wished to see for myself." Tom straightened slowly, still confused. "See, for yourself? I'm just a mechanic. I'm not really." She raised her hand gently, stopping his words. "That is exactly why I asked for you. Not a commander, not a diplomat. I want to know what a simple human is like when he is not prepared for politics." Tom blinked again. He wasn't sure if this was good or bad. "You want to talk to me?" A faint smile touched her lips. "Yes. You will stay here for a time. We will speak. You will answer my questions, and perhaps, you will ask your own." The guards bowed and stepped out of the chamber, leaving Tom alone with her. The silence was heavy, but not uncomfortable. Arya leaned forward slightly, resting her hands on the carved table between them. "You look uneasy," she said softly. Tom scratched the back of his neck. "Well, where I come from, being called in front of royalty usually means I did something wrong." Arya's faint smile grew wider. "And have you?" Tom shook his head quickly. "No, Your Highness. At least, I don't think so." She gave a quiet laugh, almost like a whisper of music. "Then relax. I am not here to punish you, human. I only want to understand." Tom sat slowly in the chair across from her. His mind raced with questions. Why him? Why now? What could an alien princess possibly want from an ordinary mechanic? The ship hummed softly around them, its systems alive with energy. Outside, stars drifted across the wide viewing window, endless and silent. Tom glanced at the princess again. She was still watching him, patient and calm, as though she had all the time in the universe. And perhaps she did. For Tom, though, every second felt heavier. He had come here expecting to fix machines and live quietly. Yet now, fate had pulled him into the presence of alien royalty. He could not know it yet, but this meeting was the start of something far larger than himself, something that would test the very meaning of what it was to be human. And it had begun with a single request from an alien princess: to talk. Tom sat stiffly in the chair, unsure what to do with his hands. Princess Arya was silent for a moment, her violet eyes focused on him as though she were studying every detail. The silence stretched, and Tom felt the weight of it pressing on him. Finally, the princess spoke. "Tell me, human," she said gently, "what is it like to live without a throne?" Tom blinked. "Without a throne?" "Yes," Arya continued. "Without titles, without crowns, without the burden of being watched by an empire every day. What is it like to live as ordinary?" The question surprised him. No commander, no scientist, no diplomat had ever asked him such a thing. He rubbed his hands together, thinking. "Well," he said slowly, "it's quiet. I wake up, I fix what's broken, I eat when I can, and I sleep when I'm tired. No one bows when I walk into a room. Most of the time, no one even notices." Arya leaned forward slightly. "And that does not trouble you? To be unseen?" Tom gave a small shrug. "Not really. I like it, actually. When no one is looking at you, you're free to be yourself. No expectations. No pressure." The princess tilted her head, her silver hair catching the light. "Interesting. Among my people, to be unseen is to be forgotten. But you humans," she paused, studying him carefully. "You make freedom from attention sound like a gift." Tom gave a nervous smile. "Sometimes it is." Arya's expression softened. For a long while, they spoke of simple things. Tom told her about Earth, about oceans stretching wider than the eye could see, about forests filled with green life, about the sound of rain against a rooftop. She listened intently, her eyes bright, as though each word was a treasure. "Rain," she whispered, repeating the word slowly. "Water falling from the sky. We do not have this on Zorath. Our water flows from underground streams. To see it fall from above, it must be beautiful." "It is," Tom admitted, a small smile tugging at his lips. "When I was a boy, I'd stand outside and let it fall on my face. Cold, but alive. Like the sky itself was touching you." Arya closed her eyes for a moment, almost imagining it. Then she looked at him again. "You make your world sound alive, Tom. It is no wonder your kind holds it so dearly." Tom noticed then how she had spoken his name. She hadn't called him human this time. Hearing his name from her lips felt strange, but not unpleasant. As the hours slipped by, the princess asked more questions. Why did humans laugh? Why did they dance even when no one was watching? Why did they tell stories of heroes, even when most lives were small and ordinary? Tom tried his best to answer. "We laugh," he said, "because sometimes life is heavy, and laughter makes it lighter. We dance because it feels good to move with music. And we tell stories because, even if most of us live quiet lives, deep down we all want to believe we matter." Arya listened quietly, her expression unreadable. At last, she said, "You humans value the small things. You find meaning in places where my people would see none. That is remarkable." The room around them grew dim as the royal ship shifted into night cycle. Soft lights glowed along the walls, and the chamber grew quieter. The guards had not returned, and no one disturbed them. Tom realized he had been speaking with her for hours without noticing the time. His shoulders relaxed. The nervousness he felt at the beginning had lessened. He was no longer sitting across from a princess of a galactic empire. He was speaking with someone curious, someone who wanted to understand. Arya, too, seemed to relax. She rested her chin lightly on her hand, her gaze thoughtful. You are not like the diplomats I have met before. They speak in rehearsed words. You speak simply. Honestly. Tom chuckled softly. That's because I'm not trained to talk to royalty. I'm just me. And perhaps that is why I enjoy this, she said quietly. Her words caught him off guard. For a moment, Tom didn't know what to say. He looked away, staring at the stars drifting past the wide window. Out there, beyond the glass, the galaxy stretched endlessly. Yet here he was, sitting with a princess who could have chosen anyone, and she had chosen him. The silence between them was no longer heavy. It was comfortable, almost peaceful. The hum of the ship's engines became like background music to their shared moment. At last, Arya broke the silence. Human lives are short, yes. Tom nodded. Compared to yours, yes. We don't live as long. She studied him again. Then you must live quickly. You must find meaning faster than others. That's one way to put it, Tom admitted. Arya leaned back in her chair, her eyes never leaving his. Perhaps that is why I wanted to speak with you. You remind me that even a single hour can matter. Tom's chest tightened at her words. He realized then that this was no ordinary conversation. These hours together were shaping something unexpected. And though he didn't yet understand where it would lead, he knew one thing for certain: the time he was spending with the alien princess was changing him, and perhaps, changing her too. The hours stretched quietly inside the royal chamber. The soft lights along the curved walls glowed faintly, painting the room in calm colors. Outside, through the wide window, stars drifted like tiny lanterns scattered across endless darkness. Tom sat across from Princess Arya, still trying to understand why fate had placed him in this strange seat. Arya leaned back slightly, her violet eyes fixed on him. A faint smile touched her lips. Human, she said softly, you told me many things about your world. But I feel you are still holding much inside. So let us play a game. I will ask you a question, then you may ask me one in return. Truth for truth. Do you agree? Tom hesitated. He had never expected to sit face to face with royalty, let alone play a game with them. But there was something warm in her tone, something that disarmed his nervousness. He nodded. All right. Truth for truth. Arya's smile deepened. She leaned forward. First question. Why do humans laugh, even when they are sad? Tom blinked at the sudden start. He thought for a moment, then scratched the back of his neck. Well, I think it's because laughter helps us breathe. When things feel heavy, when pain is too close, laughing reminds us we're still alive. Even in sadness, it gives us a moment to feel lighter. Arya studied him carefully, her eyes shining with curiosity. So laughter is not just joy, it is survival. Exactly, Tom replied. She nodded slowly, as if storing the thought deep in her mind. Now it is your turn. Ask me. Tom glanced at her, unsure of what to say. But his curiosity pushed forward. All right, why did you really choose me? Out of everyone in the station, why me? The princess did not look offended. Instead, she tilted her head, as if the question pleased her. Because you are ordinary, she said simply. Diplomats, officers, warriors, they carry rehearsed words and polished masks. I wanted to see a human as they are when no one is watching. I chose you because you were not prepared. Tom blinked, surprised by her honesty. So, you wanted the truth? Yes, Arya said softly. Always the truth. There was a pause, then she spoke again. Next question. Why do humans sing? Tom chuckled a little. That one's easy. We sing because words aren't always enough. Sometimes feelings are too big to explain. Singing lets us show our hearts. Arya's expression softened. Even if no one is listening. Especially then, Tom answered. Sometimes people sing just for themselves. She seemed to think on that for a long moment. Then she gestured lightly with her hand. Your turn. Tom leaned forward, curiosity burning stronger now. Do you ever wish you weren't a princess? Do you ever wish you were, ordinary? The question seemed to catch her off guard. For the first time, she looked away, her gaze shifting to the stars beyond the glass. Her voice grew quieter. Yes. Many times. A princess is never alone, yet often feels the loneliest. To be ordinary, to walk unnoticed, to laugh freely without an empire watching, she trailed off, then looked back at him. Yes, Tom. I have wished it more times than I can count. The honesty in her words struck him. For a moment, he saw not a ruler, not an untouchable figure of power, but a person, someone not so different from himself. Arya continued the game, her next question sharp but filled with genuine interest. Why do humans risk their lives for others? Even for strangers? Tom's answer came slowly. Because deep down, we know we're connected. Maybe not by blood, maybe not by family, but by something bigger. If someone's in danger, we can't just watch. Helping others makes us human. Arya's eyes widened slightly. She seemed moved by his words, though she did not speak for a moment. Finally, she whispered, your kind is different. My people act for duty, for law, for command. But you act from choice. Tom nodded. Yeah. That's the heart of it. Choice. Arya folded her hands on the table, her gaze locked on his. Then my turn is done. Ask me something, Tom. He thought carefully, then asked, what do you fear most? The room grew quiet. Arya's eyes lowered. Her voice was softer than before. I fear being remembered as nothing more than a crown. A symbol, not a person. I fear that when history speaks my name, it will not speak of me, only of my title. Her words hung in the air like a fragile thread. Tom felt something stir inside him, an understanding he had not expected. They continued their game, question after question, truth after truth. Each answer peeled back another layer. Arya was no longer just an alien princess in his eyes, she was curious, vulnerable, and searching for meaning, just like anyone else. Hours passed unnoticed. The hum of the ship became distant, the stars a quiet backdrop to their exchange. By the time silence finally settled, Tom realized something remarkable. For the first time in his life, he was not speaking as a mechanic, or even as a human. He was speaking as himself, simply, honestly. And the princess, who commanded the respect of an empire, was listening. Truly listening. The gentle hum of the royal ship filled the chamber as Tom and Princess Arya continued their quiet conversation. Outside, stars drifted slowly past the wide viewing window, painting the darkness with distant points of light. For hours, they had spoken of laughter, courage, and the small wonders of life, but neither noticed how quickly time passed. Suddenly, the calm was broken. A loud alarm echoed through the ship, vibrating against the walls. Red lights flashed, bathing the chamber in a warning glow. The hum of the engines shifted into a strained, urgent note. Tom's heart leapt into his throat. What's happening? He asked, rising quickly from his chair. Arya stood as well, her posture calm but alert. An external breach in the ship's system, she said, her voice steady. It is minor, but if not corrected, it could escalate. Tom felt a mix of fear and determination. This was far beyond any problem he had faced in the station's workshop, yet instinctively, he knew he could help. "Show me," he said. "Tell me what I can do." Arya nodded and led him quickly to the ship's control room. The room was a swirl of glowing screens and humming consoles, many displaying warning signs in unfamiliar alien symbols. Tom's fingers itched to touch the controls, to analyze the problem. "You must stabilize the system," Arya said, her eyes meeting his. "Do what you can. I trust you, human." Her trust sent a shiver down his spine. A princess of the Zoroth Empire trusting him, a simple mechanic, with the safety of her royal ship. It was both frightening and humbling. Tom swallowed hard, then approached the nearest console. He began examining the readouts, comparing the fluctuating energy readings. His knowledge of engineering, combined with quick improvisation, guided him. The ship's main power line had developed an unexpected surge. If left unchecked, it could cause a cascade, disabling critical systems. "Arya," Tom said, pointing to one screen, "we need to divert power from the auxiliary grid. I can reroute it manually, but it will take precise timing." She stepped closer, watching him carefully. "Do it," she said. "I will assist as I can." For the next several minutes, Tom worked with calm precision. Sweat ran down his forehead as he adjusted circuits, rerouted power lines, and monitored energy levels. Arya observed, occasionally pointing out readings or warning him of spikes. Though her knowledge of engineering was limited, she followed his instructions carefully, trusting his judgment completely. At one point, a small spark leapt from a terminal. Tom jumped back instinctively, but Arya's steady gaze reassured him. "You can do this," she said softly. Her voice, calm and confident, gave him strength he hadn't realized he needed. Finally, with a careful press of a panel and a sequence of precise adjustments, the energy stabilized. The alarms ceased, the red lights dimmed, and the hum of the ship returned to its normal steady rhythm. Tom exhaled deeply, his knees weak from tension. He had done it. Against a situation far beyond what he had ever imagined, he had kept the ship safe. Arya approached him, her violet eyes shining with admiration. "You did well," she said. "Many of my advisors would have panicked. You remained calm. You acted with courage." Tom felt a flush of pride, though mixed with lingering nerves. "I just did what needed to be done," he said. "Anyone else might have done the same." She shook her head slowly. "No. Not anyone else. You, human, proved that your kind has a resilience my people often underestimate. You rely not only on knowledge, but on instinct and heart. That is rare." Tom looked at her, feeling a strange mix of humility and amazement. A princess, recognizing the value of an ordinary human not for power, not for strategy, but for courage, trust, and quick thinking. Arya placed a hand lightly on the console, her expression softening. "Trust is not given easily in my world. To place it in you, a human, is a statement. You have earned it, not by words, but by action." Tom's chest swelled slightly at her words. He had always believed that humans were ordinary, that they were small in a vast universe. Yet here, in the presence of someone who ruled countless worlds, he felt the strength of his own abilities, the value of human courage. The room grew quiet once again. Outside, stars continued to drift, indifferent and constant. Tom and Arya stood side by side, both watching the galaxy beyond. Though no one spoke for several minutes, a new understanding had formed between them. "You see, human," Arya finally said, her voice soft, "even small actions can matter greatly. Even someone ordinary can change the course of events." Tom nodded, realizing the truth of her words. I never thought of it that way." Arya's smile returned, faint but genuine. That is why you are interesting. You act not for glory, not for recognition, but because it is the right thing to do. That is, rare, human. As they returned to the chamber, the tension of the emergency slowly faded. But in Tom's mind, a spark had been lit. The hours spent talking, the trust placed in him, the knowledge that even a single person could make a difference, it all left a mark he would not forget. He had survived the first real test aboard the royal ship. And he had proven something to himself, something larger than life. Being human meant more than ordinary limits. It meant courage, trust, and the power to act, even when the stars themselves seemed vast and unknowable. After the alarm had ended and the royal ship hummed steadily once again, Tom found himself standing near the wide viewing window, looking out at the glittering stars. His hands were still trembling slightly from the excitement and fear of the earlier crisis. But when he felt a gentle tap on his shoulder, he turned to see Princess Arya standing beside him. "You saved the ship," she said softly, her violet eyes shining with a mixture of respect and curiosity. "I expected many things from humans, but I did not expect this." Tom rubbed the back of his neck, feeling awkward under her gaze. "I just did what I had to do. Anyone in my place would have tried the same." Arya smiled faintly. "Perhaps. But most do not have the calm, the instinct, the heart that you showed." Tom didn't know how to respond. He had spent his life fixing machines and solving small problems on the station. Courage had never seemed like a quality he possessed. Yet here she was, an alien princess, praising him in a way that made his chest tighten. They walked slowly back to the chamber, the hum of the engines providing a gentle rhythm to their steps. The room was quiet, but there was a new tension between them, not the kind of fear from alarms, but something unspoken, fragile, and curious. Tom took a seat, unsure of what to say next. He had never been in a room with someone so different from him, someone with power beyond comprehension. And yet, he felt comfortable. The awkwardness of their first meeting had melted, replaced by a strange familiarity. Arya leaned against the table, watching him. "Tell me, Tom," she said after a pause, "do humans ever feel lonely?" Tom looked down at his hands. "Sometimes. But we also find ways to connect. Friends, family, even strangers sometimes. Loneliness is heavy, but humans learn to carry it together." Arya nodded, as though his answer gave her some understanding she had been searching for. "And do humans ever feel afraid of being ordinary?" Tom thought for a moment. Maybe. But being ordinary isn't always bad. Ordinary means you can make choices without everyone watching. It means you can act freely, even when no one expects it. Ordinary gives you space to be yourself. Arya's eyes softened. "I wish my life had more of that freedom." She looked away toward the stars for a moment, then back at him. "But for now, I am bound to duty. Titles, expectations, the empire, it is heavy." Tom felt a surge of empathy. Though he was a simple mechanic, he understood the feeling of responsibility. "Even so," he said quietly, "you still act with care. Even when it's hard." Her gaze lingered on him, and for the first time, Tom noticed how human she seemed, not because of her face, or her voice, but because of the emotions she carried in her eyes. There was curiosity, concern, and something else he couldn't name. For a long while, they simply sat together in silence. The hum of the ship, the soft glow of lights, and the drifting stars outside created a calm bubble around them. Tom realized he had never felt so close to someone so different from himself. Yet, the distance between their worlds didn't feel as vast as he had imagined. "Do you ever wonder," Arya said softly, "what it would be like to leave everything behind? To see the universe without rules, without expectation?" Tom shrugged lightly. "Sometimes. But I think it's not just about leaving. It's about finding the people you can trust and the moments that matter. That's what makes it worth exploring. Arya tilted her head, a small smile tugging at her lips. You speak of trust and moments as though they are treasures. That is human, isn't it? Yes, Tom said, it is. We hold on to what matters, because nothing lasts forever. Even stars die, eventually. The princess was silent for a moment, then laughed quietly, a sound as soft and rare as a breeze. You have a strange way of thinking, human. I like it. Tom felt his cheeks warm. He had expected formality, distance, maybe even dismissal. Instead, here was a princess and alien royal laughing at his words. Arya moved closer to him, the distance between them smaller than it had ever been. Perhaps, she said softly, you are not as ordinary as you believe. Perhaps the hours we spend together show me more than I expected. Tom swallowed, uncertain how to respond. His heart raced, but he forced a small, calm smile. And perhaps I have learned that humans are not always as small as they seem. The moment lingered. There were no alarms, no urgent missions, no formalities, only two beings, one human, one princess, sharing hours that neither of them could have predicted. The connection was subtle, quiet, yet undeniable. For the first time since arriving on the ship, Tom realized that the princess was not only curious about him, she was seeing him as a person. Not as a mechanic, not as a human, not as someone bound by duty, but simply as Tom. And for her part, Arya realized that humans were not merely creatures of weakness or unpredictability. They had courage, curiosity, and the rare ability to make even the most distant worlds feel closer than expected. Time passed, unnoticed, as the stars outside drifted endlessly. And in that chamber, across a simple table, two beings from different worlds quietly learned the value of trust, courage, and the rare, fragile moments that make the universe feel smaller and brighter. The quiet hum of the starship's engine filled the small room where Liam and Princess Mayla sat. Outside, through the large viewport, distant stars twinkled like tiny diamonds scattered across a black velvet cloth. The galaxy seemed calm, but inside the ship, Liam's mind was anything but. They had just escaped another attempt on Mayla's life, a near miss that left both of them shaken but alive. The danger was still out there, waiting in the shadows, but for now, they were safe. Mayla leaned back against the soft wall, her eyes fixed on the stars beyond. Liam noticed the tension in her jaw, the way her hands clenched and unclenched. The princess was strong, but even strong people had moments of doubt. Liam, she said quietly after a long pause. He looked over at her. Her dark eyes were softer now, curious but serious. Yes. She hesitated, then smiled faintly. I've asked many questions today about your world, your people, your feelings. But I have one more. A question I never thought I would ask. Liam's heart beat faster. He wondered what she was about to say. Are you single, human? She asked simply. The question hung in the air between them, clear and honest. Liam blinked, surprised by its simplicity and its meaning. He wanted to answer. But how? The words felt heavy, loaded with more than just truth. It wasn't just about being single or taken. It was about what that answer might mean for both of them. Liam looked down at his hands, then back to Mayla. I don't know, he admitted, voice quiet. I guess. I'm single. But it's more complicated than that. Mayla raised an eyebrow, her curiosity growing. I've been so focused on work, on survival, on this mission. Liam stopped himself and looked at her again. I never really thought about having someone, or what that would mean in a place like this. Mayla nodded slowly, understanding. In your world, Liam continued, are relationships easy? Or are they complicated like here? She smiled gently. In Virella, everything is complicated. Family, duty, politics, it all mixes with personal feelings. Sometimes, Love feels like a luxury we cannot afford. Liam's eyes met hers. But you asked me if I'm single. Maybe you want something different. She laughed softly, the sound like a gentle breeze. Maybe. Or maybe I just want to know if someone from your world can be honest about feelings. If humans can find something real in a galaxy so full of dangers and lies. Liam felt a warmth growing in his chest, a hope that surprised him. I think humans can, he said. We may be messy, slow to trust, but when we care deeply. We fight for what we believe in, even if it scares us. Mela reached out and touched his hand lightly. And what do you believe in, Liam? He took a deep breath. Right now. I believe in protecting you. I believe in our friendship. And maybe, something more. Her eyes sparkled. Maybe is a good start. They sat in silence, the stars blinking steadily as if waiting for the next step. Liam, Mela said after a moment, what if I told you that being single in my world means something very different? That there are expectations, traditions, rules I must follow. He squeezed her hand gently. Then I want to hear about those rules. I want to understand. Mela smiled again, a little shy this time. Perhaps, in time, I will tell you everything. But right now, I'm glad you are here with me. Liam felt the weight of the moment. This was more than a simple question. It was a beginning. Outside the viewport, a starship passed by, its lights blinking in the dark. Liam thought about the endless journeys ahead through space, through danger, through uncertainty. But for the first time, he wasn't afraid. Because he was not alone. And that made all the difference. The quiet calm after the storm was almost unreal. Liam and Princess Mela stood side by side on the bridge of the starship, watching the vast galaxy spread out before them. The stars shimmered softly, as if welcoming a new dawn. After all they had been through, the threats, the secrets, and the narrow escapes, it felt like the universe was giving them a chance to start fresh. Liam took a deep breath and glanced at Mela. Her usual royal confidence was softened by a new kind of hope. She was no longer just the princess from a distant empire, she was a friend, an ally, someone who trusted him. We did it, Liam said quietly. We stopped the plot against your family. For now, at least. Mela nodded, her eyes still on the stars. Yes. But there is still much work ahead. My people need to heal, and the empire must be stronger. Liam smiled. And I'll help however I can. Her gaze finally met his. I want that, Liam. Not just for the empire, but for us. The word hung in the air, simple, yet powerful. Liam felt his heart quicken. Us, he asked, a little surprised but happy. Yes, Mela said with a gentle smile. This galaxy is full of dangers and unknowns. But maybe, together, we can make something new, a bond between our worlds and between us. Liam looked out at the stars again. He thought about the distance between Earth and the Virellan Empire, the differences in their cultures, and the challenges ahead. But none of that seemed as important now. What do you want this us to be? Liam asked, curious but serious. Mela thought for a moment. Friends, first. Trust is important. Then, we will see where the future takes us. Liam nodded slowly, feeling relief and hope. For years, humans had dreamed of reaching the stars, of meeting other beings among the infinite darkness. Now, standing beside Mela, he realized that the greatest discovery wasn't technology or new planets. It was connection, the courage to reach out and trust someone different. The starship's communication panel beeped softly. A message from the Virellan capital. Mela glanced at it and smiled. They want me to return home soon. To face the court and rebuild. Liam stepped closer. I want to come with you. To stand by your side. She looked at him, surprised but pleased. That would be very brave. He shrugged with a grin. I'm human. We're good at facing danger. Mela laughed, a clear sound that filled the room. Then it's decided, she said. We face the future together. As the ship began its course toward the Virelin homeworld, Liam felt a sense of purpose like never before. This was more than a mission. It was a chance to prove humanity's strength not just in technology or battle, but in heart. The stars seemed to shine brighter now, as if cheering them on. Later that evening, in the quiet of their shared cabin, Liam and Mela sat talking about their hopes and fears. The walls held no royal decor here, only the simple comfort of two people learning to trust one another. I never thought I would find a friend like you, Mela said softly. Liam smiled. Neither did I. But sometimes, the universe surprises us. She looked at him with honest eyes. Liam, I want to learn about your world, your people, your life. Not as a princess or a stranger, but as someone who cares. He reached out, gently taking her hand. I want to learn about yours, too. For a moment, the galaxy outside seemed still, holding its breath. Then Mela leaned forward and rested her head on Liam's shoulder. A small, quiet gesture, but full of meaning. We are different, she whispered. But maybe that is what makes this new beginning strong. Liam nodded, feeling a warmth spread inside him. Different, yes. But together. As sleep came, they sat close, two souls from distant worlds finding comfort in each other. The future was unknown, filled with challenges and surprises. But for the first time, Liam felt ready. Because no matter what came next, they would face it side by side. And that was enough. 7.